Hello, everyone. How's it going? It's just me today. It's the Mootle Man, all alone, all on his lonesome. Uh, doing a little impromptu forge. You could say I'll do some. I'm doing an emergency forge. Actually, it's gonna be a couple of emergency forges. Because yeah, as you can see the title, I'm gonna be talking about the Last of Us show. And some people might think it's like, but Metal, didn't you say you don't want to really talk about it? You're not really passionate about The Last of Us? And I would say to you, yes, that was the case. But I've been watching the show on my own just to keep it like up to date with the happening, or if I just randomly get invited somewhere to talk about it, or someone asked me on my Strumblesteins, and I've been watching the show as of recording. There's been 5 episodes so far, and I've been really enjoying the show. I think it's actually quite good, quite good. Uh, and yeah, it made me want to talk about it. So here I am going into overdrive, gonna be prepping and recording basically all the episodes in quick succession, if you will. At least that's the plan. We'll see how that goes, because I've never done anything like this. But yeah, you're probably gonna get like 6 extra forges now. I'm gonna catch up to episode 6 as the one that comes out next, which means, well, when you hear this, I've recorded this at some point, and I think I have like 5 to 6 days to catch up on episode 6. So I put myself a bit work, but that's fine, because I really want to talk about the show, and the show is really quite good, and I wanted people to go check it out if they had some double thinkings about it. It's like, yeah, but it's the game, and maybe they're just gonna cock it up. Well, for me, I never played the games. I know the beginning of the game, and I know the end of the game. And everything in between, I have no clue about. So I'm aware that they changed a bunch of things here and there already. Apparently, it's pretty much its own thing. But I've been very much enjoying what I've been seeing. So today, I'm going to be talking about episode 1 of The Last of Us. And yeah, probably in the future, I'm going to try to figure something out to have like a different format for these kind of recordings. Because Metal's Forge is supposed to be like live and with a guest for the most part. So I don't know, probably just gonna brain fart onto my whiteboard or something. Already had some conversations with like Mutually and stuff. I was like, hey, you wanna get some ideas? What I could do? Like, I've been looking at some lingo for other other formats, and like Smelter came up, Crucible, like things like that, you know. But yeah, I'm just gonna figure that out for in the future. But as of now, I don't have anything, so this is gonna go into the Metal's Forge format, playlist, whatever you wanna call it. But yeah, if you got any ideas for like names that would fit like forging, like the overall theme of how this format looks, or how my stream looks, drop them down below. I'm interested. I'm gathering some things, and then maybe let someone whip something up for me, you know. Yeah. I'm gonna get some hydration. Always important. Always stay hydrated, boys and girls. Anyway, let's have a talk-see about the good old Last of Us season 1, episode 1, and just overall a very nice beginning of the show, because we start with basically like I don't even know, is this like a talk show format, like people just talking, and we seem to have 2 sciencemen just hanging out there, and they seem to talk about like bacteria and infections and stuff like that. And this is like way before the happenings of our actual show, because they use this part of the of the show to basically tell us about the mechanics, how the fungus has actually infected humans. And the basic idea is that the one dude is not really worried about any kind of bacteria that goes around as a pandemic or something. Because in the end, humans somehow will make it work. They will prevail, and they'll find a way to get like a vaccine or to contain it or something along those lines. They'll figure it out. So they will always come out on top somehow. The one thing that really freaks him out is fungus. And then the crowd starts laughing. It's like, yeah, that's the usual reception from that thing. But hey, you guys should imagine that if somehow fungus would make its way into the human body, there's like no preventatives, there's no countermeasures, nothing. You can't even really make any countermeasures, and that's really hard to do. Like, it's really hard to contain this kind of stuff. And then the other scienceman is like, but yeah, don't you worry about that. It can only inhabit animals because humans' body temperature is way too high, so there's really like no way for them to even survive in the human body. Like, even if a fungus would get into your body, it would just die because it's too hot inside the body. And then the first assessment, yeah, you agree, but what if the fungus has a reason to evolve to withstand greater heat? Like, if the planet would get hotter, the temperature of the planet rises, and yeah, they start inhabiting the people's brains, and it's not just millions but billions of them, and there's practically no way to count for any countermeasures. And he says, then we lose. And it's a really nice thing because it starts off really lightheartedly, like you would know a talk show. Like, the host just has some jokes here and there. It's like, you like to say no a lot, and it's like, yes, and it's like, haha, funny. But when he talks about this, like the idea that there's like a thing that could spread throughout humanity that cannot be contained is pretty serious to think about. It's like, oh, if that would happen, it's like we're screwed. There's nothing you can do about it. We will lose. And yeah, quite nervously, the talk show host goes to break, and then we go to the intro scene. It's a really neat back and forth between the peoples. I'm a big fan of it. It does feel like a real talk show where they just kind of talk the shit and go back and forth, like, yeah, it's kind of funny. And then it's like, yeah, but here's this hypothetical that's like super insane, and if it would happen, we're screwed. And just the tone shift is quite you can feel it. You can feel a tone shift. And even the audience is like, ooh. Well, they don't say like, ooh. It's like, they're like all silent. Look at him. It's like, ooh. You can feel they're quite nervous about thinking about that scenario, even though most of them won't be able to, or won't need to deal with it because this happens like years and years later for them. But yeah, that's like a little intro where we get taught about the fungus. And then 2003, this is where we go. This is where we start a little adventure. And we basically just set up so if you've played the game, so this is the part that I know about, like, beginning of the game, you just kind of walk, or you kind of do your thing, and then of course, spoiler, I guess, the daughter of Joel dies basically in his hands. And this is basically the story we're telling here, and we take, what was it, like 25, 30-ish minutes, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, just do a pretty darn good job just building up their relationship and what the people are like that we get to see as the main protagonist. Or as one of the main protagonists, really, which is Joel. Because this pretty much evolves around Joel's character why he is the way he is later in the show, and how he's been having a relationship with his daughter, which is quite loving and just kind of fun, really. And then there's also his brother Tommy, which we get something on. And yeah, it's quite nice. So we just see them all wake up. It's Joel's birthday, actually, and yeah, it's just some nice family banter, I would say. We get to learn that Joel has been working hard for a while now, and he's like all over the place. He forgot his watch when he starts to check it, and we learn a little bit that it's actually broken, and Sarah, the daughter, is gonna go and repair it for him as a birthday gift. So that's just quite nice. His brother comes in, just wanting some food, but yeah, Joel basically keeps forgetting stuff, but not like out of malice, but because he just keeps working all the time. So you can tell he's like overworked, and even on his birthday now, he's just gonna work. He's gonna go out for work. And Sarah is like, "Oh, come on, really? Today on your birthday?" It's like, "It's fine. We're gonna be done by 9, and I'm gonna bring some cake. I promise." And of course, he's gonna forget the cake, because that's just how we do it, right? But yeah, because it's just nice. They talk to each other. They're not talking at each other with the script in mind. They react to each other, and not just talk to each other. It's quite nice. The acting is quite good throughout the whole show. I would say I'm a big fan of the acting overall. And yeah, they take care of his brother Tommy. Sorry, he's here, and they do all like each other, but he sees him a little bit as a burden, but not like all the way. It's not like, "Oh, look at my brother just leeching off my work," or whatever. They're just kind of joking about, like, "Oh, you're not you don't need me, you're reliant of me," and all that stuff. But yeah, we learn later that he tends to get in trouble for maybe the right reasons. We can just only go with what we hear from him. But yeah, he's he seems to be a little bit of a troublemaker. Tries to be a hero here and there. But anyway, they leave, and they're gonna drop Sarah off school, and this is where we see that she grabs some cash and his watch in secret. It almost looks like she's stealing stuff, but we learn pretty quickly the idea is that she goes out with the watch to get it repaired for him for his birthday, because he will never do it himself. It gets a little scene where they go outside, and there's like some neighbors, and you see the old lady over here. Sorry, I meant to show her. So yeah, you see the old lady over here. That's the neighbors, and they just kind of goes like, "Hey, you haven't been over for a while. How you doing? All right? How about you come over? We got like biscuits and stuff, and can make cookies." And he's like, he doesn't really want to go, but Joe's like, "Come on, make them happy." And then she agrees, like, "Okay, I can come over, but just for a little bit." And then he's like, "Yeah, we got some leftover biscuits. Do you want some?" Then Sarah goes like, "My dad loves biscuits." And he's like, "Yeah, I do, but man, I'm on this diet and something." Then yeah, basically Sarah and Joel are just egging each other on. You can tell they're quite fond of each other as family members. It's really nice to see. It's quite wholesome, actually. It's really wholesome. I like it a bunch. They use their time really well to establish the the relationship between Joel and Sarah. It's quite nice. It's quite nice. Then we just see her hanging out in school, and she goes off to like a jewelry store, watch repair store, whatever you want to call it. And he's just like, "Hey, what's here's this watch." And he checks it out. "Oh, it's just $20. And he's like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna do it right now. Just don't go anywhere. I'm just gonna do it real quick and can take it with you." And it's like, "Oh, sweet." Sorry, my my throat is being a bit of a flume. Just hydrate it. It's fine. So yeah, she's just kind of waiting, just looking around. Then, which I assume is the wife of the shop owner. It's like, okay, we're gonna close now, because there's been you can see like in the background, there's like a lot of police and fire trucks and even like SWAT cars going around. And even the guy is like, man, I swear all day they've been on it. Like there's so much police and fire trucks. Like I don't know what's going on. And the wife just comes around. Okay, we're gonna close now. Like, sorry, you gotta leave. He's like, oh wait, can I finish? Like, oh, I'm already finished. And he gives her the watch, and she's like, yeah, you'd better go home. Like, something's wrong. We don't know what is, but you can tell by now. It's like, oh, shit's weird. Something's going on. So yeah, she goes back home. Goes to chill out with the neighbors. Is just hanging out. Does like some homework, and then they make some cookies, and yeah, she just hangs out. And the lady's like, oh, you wanna make some cookies? He's like, ooh, chocolate chip. And she's like, raisins, which, if you ask me, makes her the real threat of the show. Raisins? Disgusting. I hate raisins. Raisins are gross. I don't like them. You can take those raisins and get them far, far away from me. You should beat her up and do chocolate chip cookies instead. We don't want no raisins up in this biatch. Anyway, she's doing her homework, then checks out a shelf with some DVDs on them, and while she checks them out, you can just kind of see the granny in the background. It's like kind of blurry, but it looks quite creepy. Just look at this. Obviously, I can't show moving pictures because copyright and stuff. But yeah, she's just kind of in the background, just kind of convulsing and going like, nyeh, but she's not making any sounds while doing it. So you can just kind of see her in the background going a little bit mental, going a bit goblin mode, if you will. And yeah, she just kind of grabs one of the DVDs, which she wants to borrow, and it's the husband's DVD. So, hey, can I borrow those? I want to watch a movie with my dad for this birthday. It's like, yeah, sure, go nuts. You can take it with him. And then she decides to leave. I was like, oh, do you really want to leave? It's like, yeah, I gotta go. My dad's probably gonna come back home soon. He's like, oh, you gotta take some raisin cookies. And I was like, don't take them. It's a trap. Yeah, it's good. And then she makes her way outside, and you can just see that the dog is just looking at the granny, quite weirded out by her. It's like, you know what, Granny, you look kind of, you did a weird champ. You did a weird behavior thing. I don't like that. Please don't do that again. So yeah, obviously this is like one of those signs that something is wrong with that person. The dog obviously realizes, because that's just how dog mechanics work, if you will. So yeah, we're just building the tension. It's quite cool. I enjoy it. Obviously, having been watching movies for a while, we already know what's going on. Also, meta knowledge. It is an adaptation of a game where we already know there's like fungus people running around. But what I do enjoy is, and I think it's like a fun thing to think about. I think at this time, I just like to imagine this is like the first show you ever see, or maybe the first horror thing you've ever seen, and you don't know any of the tropes. You don't know anything what's going on. I think if you have no idea about The Last of Us, you have no idea about movies and how they work, and or very little knowledge about the tropes and anything. It's like one of the first things you've seen. I think you could go in this and then feel like, there's some weird stuff happening. There's like a lot of police going around apparently, and then you have some. I think you get some radio blurbs here and there, and maybe some TV blurbs. That shit is kind of weird. but it's not that weird where you're like, oh, something paranormal is happening. Of course, if you again, this is just a hypothetical, of course. If you have like no concept of how any of this works, I think you can go out and like, oh yeah, this. I mean, sometimes I have like a lot of police just driving in front of my house because I don't know, there's like a big fire happening, like a warehouse is burning down, or some people doing shenanigans in the city, and so they need some SWAT cars and police and and whatnot. I think they don't overdo it here from the beginning, so they kind of ramp it up as we go, quite nicely, I would say, and then obviously everything shit hits the fan, and we're off to the races basically. But yeah, it's just a nice little hypothetical I just had in my mind. Just wanted to throw in here because I just thought about it. Okay, chat. I say chat. There's no chat today. Sorry, chat. You're alone with the comments. Sorry, comments. But I had to talk about it. No, it's fine. It's all good. Right. Where was I? I just went out on a tangent myself, and I forgot where I was. Right. She's at home and just waiting for Daddy-O to come back home. Just kind of waiting on the couch, reading some girl magazines. Ew, girls. We're boys. But yeah, he's coming home, and she's like, "It's 10. You're too late." And it's like, "Yeah, sorry, but they delivered the wrong flim flam headers for stuff." And he's like, "Oh, that doesn't matter anything to you. Never mind." And it's just a nice little just a nice little scene where he comes home and she's like, "Hey, where's the cake?" And he's like, balls, I forgot the cake. I'm gonna bring one tomorrow, I swear." And she just says, "Well, you have to swear, otherwise you don't get your present." He's like, "Oh, you got me a present?" He's like actually excited about it, which is kind of wholesome. It's like, "Yeah, there you go." And he's like, "Ooh, it's my watch. You repaired it. Let it repair." And when he asked, it's like, "Where did you get the money from?" He just says, "I'm selling hardcore drugs." And his answer is just, "Oh, it's better than what I do." It's just a fun little interaction. I like it. He's kind of joking that the watch isn't actually repaired, and she's like, "What? No way!" And he's like, "Nah, I'm just teasing you." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I stole the money from you, but don't worry, I put the change back. I'm an honest thief." It's like, hey, basically the idea is, as I said already earlier, it's like, yeah, I just took the money and repaired it for you because I know you wouldn't have done it yourself because you're so busy all the time. And he's just kind of smiling, just like, "Thank you." I was like, "Aw, that's so wholesome. I like it." I believe their relationship immediately. I'm just like, yeah, they're close. They like each other a lot. It's daughter and father. Like it's nice. It's wholesome. I like it. And then she gives him the DVDs. Like, "Oh, that's awesome. That's the one with the deleted scenes." It seems like to be one of his favorite movies or something. It's nice. And they just kind of cuddle up and just have some TV time. And he's like, "Oh, don't fall asleep. I won't fall asleep." And then she obviously falls asleep. And then Tommy calls. I was like, "Oh God, what's going on?" He's like, "Why? Who's calling me?" He's like, "Yeah, it's Tommy." And it's like, "Oh, I'm fine, but I'm in jail. You need to bail me out." It's like, God, what the fuck, Tommy? How did that happen? It almost sounds like that happened before. It's like, "Oh, again, seriously?" It's like, "You need to get me out now." It's like now? Did we look at the clock? It's like, "Come on, man, it's Friday. If you don't get me out now, you can't get me all weekend." And this is a madhouse here. Obviously, the implication is here, this shit's crazy because of the fungus outbreak that's just going full throttle here in a second. And obviously at the police station, shit's crazy already. And an important part to mention here is that he tells Joe's like, "Oh yeah, there's like this crazy guy started swinging at the waitress, and I stabbed him, knocked him out. Police got involved, and then they locked me up. Yeah, I just had to do that stuff." And the thing is, I'm watching a bit with hindsight because obviously I'm a little bit behind, but now I can use my knowledge from other episodes. that I've watched already. We get some tidbits here. So earlier we already got a little tidbit, like a little sticker on a truck, which I think was Tommy's truck. It was like a sticker that says Operation Desert Storm Veteran. Something that I completely missed on my first watch for some reason, even though they're quite close up to the sticker to show it to us. But I don't know, just kind of went over my head because swoosh. But when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, they already told us that kind of. That's kind of neat. And I just missed it. Other people probably didn't miss it, but I'm stupid, so sorry. And the part where he tells him is like, oh yeah, it was this crazy guy who started swinging at a waitress. And he stepped in. It just lines up with what we get to know later in the show. I think like episode 4 or 5. I don't recall which one it was. It was 4 or 5 though, where he tells Ellie about Tommy, and it's like, oh yeah, he was like Operation Desert Storm veteran, and he always wanted to be a hero. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. It all just comes together. They actually keep track of what they're telling us, and that's just it's just nice. It's quite nice. But yeah, he goes out. He puts Sarah into bed. And makes his way out to the county jail, I think it was, and gets him out. Of course, during that time, Sarah is alone. And, yeah, she's just, she wakes up. Because there's some kind of explosion and sounds and just some general ruckus. She goes downstairs, finds there's no one at home. Dad is gone. He's like, oh man, what's going on here? She gets the attention by the neighbor's dog. I think it's called Mercy, if I recall correctly. And it's like, oh come on, I'm going to get you back to to Daddy and the waifu. And the dog's like, nah man, I'm out of here. There's danger. I'm running. I'm out of here. So the dog does. And Sarah's just kind of confused, like, what's going on? Like, there's helicopters everywhere. There's ruckus. I don't know what's going on. And she goes up to the goes into the neighbor's house, and it's like, oh, that's all a bit. Why is it open? That's weird. But all she finds is a puddle of blood, which is ooh, that's not good. What's going on with that? And sorry, what's going on here with my notes? Notes, don't fail me now. I'm trying to do a thing here. My notes just crashed. Sorry for that short interruption. But yeah, she goes inside, finds a puddle of blood, and sees Danny, who is full of blood as well, and he just goes like, help me. And just kind of like, holy shit, what is going on here? And she looks over and just sees the granny putting the gross fungus fleams into the mouth of the wife. So let's see. It's they made it a bit blurry here, but yeah, you can see there. Obviously, this is the change that everyone was talking about before the show started, because in the game, as far as I understand, it's spores that are going through the air, you know. So I think in the show in the game there's a lot of mask wearing going on, where you have like proper masks with like not containers, like gas, like small gas tanks or whatever, or air tanks, not gas tanks, air tanks. But yeah, as I said, I haven't played the game, but from what I understand, it goes through the air. It's like spores, they go through it. I think there's like an actual enemy that just explodes into spores or something. I will need to check back, but that's the rudimentary understanding I have from what's going on in the game. But yeah, but in this game, they actually have to make contact with you. It's a bit more similar to a regular zombie outbreak almost, where they slash you and then you have like a time before you get transformed into a fungus man. I think the normal ones are called runners or something. But yeah, this is the thing. And here they also have like the thing where I said thing a lot. You know what? That's fine. They have these I don't even know what you would call them, like fungus sprouts that they can vomit into other people. I remember in the second or third episode, there's like a really weird thing with Tess, where it almost looks like the runner kisses her. I remember that one was really weird. It looked like I don't know. I'll talk about it when I get there, okay? I just remember that, and I found it really weird. Anyway. So yeah, the granny is like, ooh, there's fresh meat. I'm gonna go grab Sarah. And she's like, oh shit, I'm the fleam out of here. And she runs outside, but luckily Joel and Tommy come back, and he's like, get in the truck. And then Granny comes out. It's like, oh shit, Joel, what are you gonna do? And Tommy has like a rifle now. But she runs towards them, and Joel just knocks her straight out with a wrench, and apparently kills her immediately. Yeah, you can see it here in the footage in the background. She just runs there and goes, boom! And he throws away the wrench and immediately goes to Sarah, checks on her, and is like, oh shit, Dad, you killed her. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, you're fine. Yeah, they just, we're now in full survival mode, basically. And they do a pretty good job showing us how Joel operates in these kinds of scenarios. I actually don't know if he has like some kind of fighting training from the military. I don't think that comes up, or I just don't recall it coming up in the episodes. But yeah, he's full survival mode. They go into the highway, and Sarah is about to ask questions, and he immediately goes like, we don't know what's going on. And she has this terrorist, like, we don't know, I don't think so. They say it's some kind of fungus that's spreading around. And she asked a very valid question, how do you know we aren't sick? And he's like, no, we're fine, it's mostly people from the city. And then she concludes, oh yeah, because they took Granny there a lot to the hospital, so she probably got it there. And he's like, yeah, that must be it. But then she immediately realizes, oh, you probably need to go a lot into the city. And the reason she says that is, oh, she goes to school in the city, so she's going into the city a bunch. So in her mind, it's like, I might be sick too, and I have no idea if that's a thing or not. So yeah, pretty tense scenario. But they are quick to comfort her and tell her, no, it's fine, we're definitely not sick, it's all good. And yeah, we learn that Joel is pretty much immediately only concerned for their own safety, for the safety of Sarah, Tommy, I think lastly himself. But yeah, he doesn't even want to stop for like other people when they're on the street. And Tommy's like, hey, they have a kid. And he's like, so do we. Go. There might be other people coming around. So he has no interest in helping anyone right now. He's like completely survival, which I think is fair. They're dealing with like some kind of weird outbreak. They don't know if anyone else has it. So it would be pretty risky helping other people. So I get it. And yeah, we see he thinks pretty straight, pretty fast, quick to adapt to what's happening. Because they go to the highway and see, oh shit, everyone else had the same idea. Okay, what we're gonna do is like go to the field. We just cross over here, go to the other highway. And then they see, balls. Military has occupied that whole highway. They can't go there. And it's like, let's go to the right. There's like a small town. We go there, make our way through there, and then go to the other highway, I think was the idea. And then just, I don't know, make our way to Mexico, just as far away as possible from here. And he even asks, like, okay, how much fuel do we have left in the tank? And basically just showing us, like, okay, he quickly gathers all the necessary information he would need to make a decision on where they could go. And yeah, it's pretty good. It's good stuff. That's some pretty good character development. I like it a lot. They use their time very, very, very well. And yeah, they make their way to the town, and it's absolute pandemonium in there. They try to make their way through, but it's basically it's a clusterfuck. They go through alleyways, and they go through side roads, and then there's police cars, and there's people on the street, and it's just absolute cock up. When they see they can't go further ahead, It's like, okay, go back, go into reverse. We see that there's a plane starting to crash into the city. And he's like, shit, Tommy, move, move, move. And then you get like an explosion and debris. And I'm actually not entirely sure how it made them flip over. Maybe the explosion is that strong. Because I just have no reference. I don't know how strong explosions can be. It's a bit farther away. It's a straight line, so maybe that could flip them over. I don't know. I legitimately don't know. I will need to read up about explosions and how strong they can be if there's like a plane crashing into the floor or something. But yeah, they flipped over. They're all unconscious. They come back to consciousness, and it's like, Sarah, look at me. It's all good. Well, it's not all good. He just basically tells her, look at me, don't look at anyone else. There's like there's like fungus people eating other people. Don't look at it. It's traumatic. I don't want you to be traumatized. And yeah, it's like, hey, you're fine. It's like, no, my ankle is fucked. And then they want to make their way to somewhere. I'm actually not entirely sure to where. And they're about to rendezvous is the wrong word because they're already together. Tommy wants to come around the car and get to them, but then all of a sudden, like, a sheriff car crashes into their flipped over car, which pretty lucky actually that they just got out. Otherwise, they would have been cocked. And Tommy, playing the hero again, as we get to learn that what he likes to do, is like, go away, get out of here, I'm going to meet up with you. So I think, if I'm being completely fair here, this looks like you could get through it. Considering the situation you're in, and there's like fungus people going around, I think I would rather take the chance jumping through the fire and be together with my family there instead of going somewhere around wherever he goes. He just kind of goes off screen for a while and then he comes back to save them, or to save Joel rather. I feel like there's a way to just get over, or like get over the car, or just jump over the car. There's like no fire up here. It seems like that would be the almost a safer way, because you don't know what's over that side, to the left and to the right, how many runners are going there. He has a gun, but it's not a very good close quarter gun. It's like a rifle with a scope even, I think. I'm not knowledgeable enough to tell you exactly what rifle it is, but it looks like almost like a bolt action rifle. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like you would probably want to climb over the other cars instead of going around through the absolute chaos that is ensuing here. So yeah. So Joel just carries Sarah around because she can't walk with her flinked up ankle. And they make their way through an alleyway and they get chased by one of those runners. And they run into a soldier, a singular soldier. And if you played the game, I think this is pretty much 1-to-1, if I'm not mistaken. He shoots the runner, and Joel's like, oh, thank God we're safe, that's great. Don't worry, Sarah, we're safe. And the soldier's like, you stay right there, don't move. And just kind of hails to commands like, yeah, we got like 2 people here, 1 child injured. And you can kind of hear him talk to command. And it's kind of awkward. He's like, say that again. I think he gets an order that he doesn't like, pretty much. And the order is, yeah, just shoot them. We have to contain this outbreak. Shoot them. And so he does. And Joel just kind of runs down, jumps down a ditch, basically. Drops Sarah. And the soldier looks over them. He says, I'm sorry. But he realizes that's what he has to do, apparently. And before he gets shot, he gets saved by Tommy, who shoots the soldier before they can do. Also, yeah, he has like a gun with a scope. I just saw it again. And then we get the thing where the daughter dies. Sarah is on the ground, hyperventilating, and yeah, she's dead. She's about to die. He's like, oh, I'm gonna need to put pressure on the wounds. Like, I'm gonna need to get you up, need to get you out of here. I know it's hurting. You need to get out. He's like, Dad, help us. It's quite tense. It is quite tense. And he's like, Tommy, help me. And he just says, Joel, my God. Because he realizes, well, he's a combat veteran. Like, he's probably seen people die like that. And he's like, there's no way to help her. And yeah, the last shot we see of her, she's either already dead or just fell unconscious. Like, you can see in Tommy's face here, it's like, Joel is, I'm sorry, like, it's over. It's nothing it's nothing we can do. Like, she's gone. And yeah, that basically concludes the introduction scene. A solid 30 minutes. I'm pretty sure it doesn't take that long in the game. I think it was faster. I don't remember. But just as a feeling. And goddamn, Pedro Pascal, he can act his ass off. Like, when he holds Sarah, it's like, no, just crying and sad, and it's like, goddamn, you're a pretty good actor, dude. And then I think it's like, oh, he's gonna be in Mandalorian again. Oh, and you can't even do anything well in there because I don't know. I almost said you can't do well there because of the mask, which is bullshit. Of course, you can convey emotion with a mask on, but yeah, I don't know. Mandalorian's not very good, guys. I'm sorry. And it's gonna start up soon, and I'm not looking forward to it. But we do what we gotta do, boys and girls. But yeah, this concludes the first 30 minutes of this episode, and goddamn, this is good shit. We get to know Joel and what he can do, and why he's going to be so miserable from now on. We get the very tragic death of his daughter, and we get to learn how much he loved her, and he just wanted to take care of her. He wanted just to have a good life. He's been working hard to provide for them. He tried to protect her, but failed, which is gonna eat on him. And as you can already see there, it's like 20 years later, so quite a lot of time has passed. But yeah, this is like eating away at him. We get introduced to Tommy, who we'll see at some point. I reckon. I actually don't know if we ever see him in the actual game or if he's actually dead already, because we learn he hasn't been responding for like 3 weeks. That's why he goes out to try to find him. But I'm already taken away from where we already go. But yeah, they use the time incredibly well. I like it. What else? Yeah, I really like how they establish how the fungus works. I think it's a pretty neat idea. Do it in like a talk show session. It's kind of neat. Where it's just a theory, like it's before everything happens. But they're obviously kind of hinting at like global warming and stuff. So shit heats up. The fungus needs to adapt to, and now they can survive in the human body. I don't know if that makes any sense, if that could happen that way. Kind of don't want to know, I'm fine with not knowing, but, sounds reasonable to me, as like an evolution thing, I guess. Yeah, build-up of the relationship between Joel and Sarah is quite good, and yeah, just pepper in some good reactions to the ruckus in the city, just going more and more out of control. You can hear jets flying around, there's helicopters, there's a lot of police going around. There's like some nice little tidbits you can see in the backgrounds as well. For example, when, what was it? I just had it in my brain and it just flumed away. Oh yeah, when Tommy and Joel pick up Sarah and they drive away, they run over Danny, who has been infected by his mother, I assume. I called her Granny this whole time because, yeah. And they run him over, and there's a neighbor who Joel tells to get inside and lock the doors. But when they kind of run over Danny, she goes like, "Holy shit, Joel, what the fuck?" And just checks on Danny, and you can just see, I think, which is Granny or some other runner going to going to attack that neighbor he just told to go inside. It's like there's like neat little details everywhere. It's quite nice. I like it a lot. It's time very well spent. I like it a whole lot. But I said that a bunch already. Right. Right, so in the next... Yeah, we go 20 years further into the future, or to our present, rather, because we're now at 2023. And, sorry, 1 second. Sorry, my nose had a run. Right. We see like a child going towards the quarantine zone, which is in Boston. So we are in Boston, and there has been a quarantine zone that has been established, which is led by Fedra, which I guess is like the Earth government, or whatever is left of it, I should say. And yeah, the child approaches, and they're like, "Oh shit, that child just fell over. We gotta have to go a little help." And they have the child inside, and nice little touch. They don't just drive the child inside; they kind of have the child bound up, you know, because they don't know is the child gonna turn? Is it hurt? And yeah, they just go like, "Hey, you doing alright? What's your name?" Just kind of not responding, being traumatized. And there's like a little wound on the leg, and nice little detail which I didn't even realize fully when I watched it the first time. We get a sign here, like time to full infection, and yeah, if you get bit or wounded in the neck, face, or head, it's 5 to 15 minutes until you're fully infected. You have 2 to 8 hours when you're hurt at the torso, arm, shoulder, or hand, and you got 12 to 24 hours if it's your leg or your foot. And as far as I could tell from the couple of scenes we had where that happened, they seem to be taking note of this. They keep remembering that, because in the latest episode, which is 5, we have someone getting infected, and it takes quite a while. So we seem to be going with those 12 to 24 hours. nice detail, nice touch. I quite liked it. I quite liked that when I saw that. So yeah, just a nice little piece of world building, I guess. So yeah, they kind of check up on the child, and it's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And we see that they, sorry, they have this device that checks them, and then we see in the background, you kind of see it behind the copyright protector. It's red, and as we all know, red rarely means anything good. So yeah, that basically means, yeah, child is infected. And yeah, the police lady, she seems to be, I don't want to say used to it, but she knows how to cope with it, I guess. And she just tells the child, like, "How about we give you, after we give you some medicine, we find you your favorite food and get you as many toys as you want." And already you can tell, like, oh, I don't think he's gonna get any medicine, at least not medicine that's gonna help against the infection. And yeah, the implication here is they just have to euthanize her, pretty much, or the child. Actually, with those long hair, actually not entirely sure if it's a boy or a girl. Sorry, I just don't know. And then we cut to a big old fireplace where we see, yeah, there's just corpses getting chucked in the fire. And Joel is helping out there. This seems to be his job for the day. And yeah, just to make that scene from earlier even more potent, if you will, another truck arrives, and we see this lady who's also doing that work right now, looking at it, he's like, yo, just tapping Joel on the shoulder. Just says, I can't do this one. Like, I can't. And he's like, huh, what's up? He hasn't quite looked into the truck yet. And, yeah. That child we just saw, there it is, dead. And just gets chucked in the fire with everyone else. So the infection cannot spread. And it's like, damn. Life hasn't really improved in those 20 years, huh? Just have to do these nasty jobs, quite cruel jobs, if you will. But yeah, it has to be done. And this Joel just grabs the child and throws it into the fire. And it's like, damn. What a way to set the tone in that quarantine zone. It's like, geez. That's no fun. That's no fun at all. And yeah, they kind of just yeah. Just kind of setting the tone for now. What's been going on, and there's no there's no money anymore. You get, like, I don't know, cards that are worth something. And Joe's like, hey, you got anything else? And the federal guy is like, nothing today, but tomorrow you can either do this or do the sewer. And he's like, well, I'm just gonna take the one that gives me more cash, and that would be the one with the poopy. And he's like, all right, I'll take that then. Yeah. Yeah, and just we kind of see him walking around a bit through that quarantine zone. It's just basically some kind of world building, like all is kind of run down. It's just used. We see some people with, like, missing limbs and stuff. We also see that Fedra seemingly has, like, a pretty tight grip on everything. You can see, like, we have the sniper lady or this sharpshooter lady up here, just basically looking out if any shenanigans happen. And we also see almost instantly, like, people are selling stuff on the streets, like shoelaces, like common things that you just get these in normal circumstances. Right here, you need to buy them, and they're probably expensive. I don't really have a point of reference for what is expensive and what not in this universe, but there's just a stand that is like, here, have one shoelace for one card or something. Also, we see that Fedra apparently just, publicly hangs people for leaving the quarantine zone without permission, which is kind of like, geez, we went full medieval here, huh? Just to make sure those people don't leave the quarantine zone and cock things up. Might be a bit obviously questionable. It's like, do we need that? Like, damn, that's yeah, shit's rough. Shit's really rough. And then Joel just looks over to a guy who's like a guard, and they just meet up. And yeah, we kind of learn that Joel has been, like, smuggling stuff for people, and he gets, like, a bunch of cards from the guy. And yeah, he basically provides some kind of sleeping pill for him, and he even says, man, this shooting more people doesn't make sleeping easier. He's like, no, it really doesn't. He's like, well, you're short 5, and then he just gives him a couple of ciggies. And it's like, yeah, here, have your thingy-majingies. And the guard guy even, like, tests it a little bit. He scraps a little bit off the pill and just kind of tastes it. It's like, oh yeah, that's some real, that seems to be real stuff. He also asks how old it is, and it seems to be like a couple of months old. He's like, yeah, I'll take them all, of course. And yeah, he puts them in his little front pouch, because Joe says, I need the bag, which is like, damn, shit's really, really tight, huh? You need that bag, the little plastic bag. Like, things you can get in like on a normal day. You can just get like a 100 pack for like $2 or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, it's just a Fedra guard, and he's been doing some work for him. He also talks about, hey, do you know about the car? Because Joel is trying to get a car to move around. And we also learn, it's like, yeah, you can get a car. It's going to be that much for these people. And yeah, just kind of makes a deal with him about that car. And he also says, "Oh, we do need a battery." It's like, yeah, we got the battery covered. We learn about the battery a little in a short bit. But yeah, he's just trying to get a car, a vehicle to somewhere, or transportation, if you will. Right. So yeah. Also, we also get a short introduction to the Fireflies, which is it's like the rebellion basically in this universe. They're going against Fedra because Fedra is going like full dictatorship mode or like fascist state mode, where, well, as I said, they do like public hangings and stuff and just run a tight ship basically. Oh, I just saw. I was just wondering, what does Fedra even stand for? And I just saw in the background there, just right next to the Firefly thing. So yeah, that's like the Firefly slogan, basically. When you're lost in the darkness, look for the light. That's like a thing they say. And yeah, I was just wondering, what does Fedra even stand for? And I just look at the screen. It's like, oh, it stands for Federal Disaster Response Agency. Gotcha. Thanks. You just never stop learning, do you? That's neat. That's nice. Right. Moving along, we get introduced to Tess, which I'm pretty sure is in the game. So people were like, "Oh, it's Tess, sweet," and I was like, "Oh, you're a new character that I don't know." And basically, she's just sitting there. She got jumped by some of his men. He has like a fucked up eye and lip, and yeah, the idea here is like, hey, listen, Robert, it's just a guy she made a deal with for the battery. It's like, he's like, well, I get it, Robert. You sold the battery to someone else. You spend my money, and I got roughed up by your men. It's like, I get it. I have done the same thing before. Kind of showing it's like, oh yeah, people need to do shitty stuff to get around, basically. But yeah, she's basically like, yeah, you fucked me over, whatever. I get it. I've done shit like that before. So how about we just forget about this? You let me go. You do something to your people, discipline them. I don't know, cut off a finger or whatever. And I can go home and drink until my face stops hurting. And she's like, well, what if your guy sees you? He's probably going to do something. He's like, no, it's fine. I'm going to tell him some randies just jump me. And he won't do anything. He's basically listening to me. And it's fine. Tell him I'm going to jump. It's all good. And they're about to go to have like a deal. And all of a sudden, boom! I'm surprised how well I've been matching up my talkings with the things that happen on screen without moving anything. But yeah, basically there's an explosion happening, and there's a Fedra car in front of the building, and apparently the Fireflies have been blowing up that car. And that guard earlier said as well, oh, hey, listen, there's like shit going on. Firefly's been bombing random cars. It's quite spicy. Don't go out, otherwise maybe some dumb shit happens and someone shoots you by accident. Yeah, she's just trying to get out, and she's like, oh, there's a bunch of Fedra agents now. And she's like, yeah, they're shooting at us, help, help. And they think she's Firefly, but she's like, I'm not Firefly. But she gets grabbed, pressed to the ground, and basically locked up for the rest of the day. And yeah, as you can tell, we're just kind of starting to get the story moving. It's not quite as densely packed as the beginning. But yeah, the basic idea is they're trying to get trying to get a car and a battery so they can move somewhere. Then we get a short scene where we learn to see Ellie for the first time. Obviously, Ellie, the other main protagonist in the game, and she seems to be getting checked up on. Where is the? Oh yeah. Yeah. Obviously, she doesn't refer to herself as Ellie. She calls herself Victoria because she's kind of not undercover, but they keep her name under wraps. And yeah, she's locked up with the Fireflies, and They ask her to slowly count to 10 and state her name, kind of checking up on her. And she kind of has like an attitude, goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, fuck you, or 8, fuck you. It's basically has an attitude. And yeah, the other ones just don't pay her any attention. They're just kind of checking on her. And we don't know why yet. We learn in a little bit. But yeah, that's the whole scene. She's kind of like, well, this sucks. We see that Joel checks in with a radio guy, and we learn that, hey, did you hear anything from Tommy? Because yeah, Tommy has gone off to Wyoming, as we learn, and he hasn't been responding for like 3 weeks. And he tells the radio guy, hey, tell me where the tower is. I'm gonna go there. And even he's like, dude, this is always open field. Wyoming is a long way. There's like worse things out there than just runners. There's like slavers and raiders. And then Joel's quick to point out, oh, and so you think Tommy is fine then? It's like, whatever, I have to get them. Tell me where it is. And he's like, yeah, it's this one. And yeah, Joel just goes away with the map and goes home. We see that he gets some stuff out of the floorboards. There's like some tools and a map and everything. And he's basically he's drinking, mapping out or routing a route to Wyoming. Or I don't even know if he's routing it yet. He's just kind of looking on the map. It's like, okay, I need to go this way. And just having like a little mix of pills and drinks so he can fall asleep at some point. Because he's still traumatized by what happened to his daughter, of course. You can just hear in the background a little bit the hyperventilating of Sarah, and yeah, just a little bit nice characterization stuff. During the night, Tess comes in because she seems to be hanging out with him. They seem to be some kind of couple. Just kind of lies down. He wakes up in the morning having a big old hangover. He sees that Tess has been roughed up. She tells him he was jumped and then in federal lockup all day. And he tells her, yeah, some of Robert's guys jumped me. He sold the battery to someone else. And I told him, you're not going to hurt him. But fuck that guy. I want you to hurt him real bad, actually. So basically, their plan now is we're going to figure out quietly where Robert is. And then we're going to rough him up and get our battery and our car. And so they do. And yeah, that's what we do. That's it. We then get a scene where we see the leader of the Fireflies in Boston. She's just kind of a little bit annoyed. Her right hand officer or whatever they call each other there. It's like, why the fuck are we hitting random federal vehicles all over the place? Like, what's up with that? What's the reason for this? And she basically tells the other two people to fuck off. And so the idea is, we hit them here, here, and here, and we're here. I want them to be anywhere except where we are right now, because we are leaving the Boston QZ quarantine zone for good. I was like, why? Wait, we're quitting the rebellion? What's going on with this? And he's like, no, we're just moving that random girl we got there, because she also asked about why they have a girl locked up. And she basically hands her right-hand woman like a little paper, and she just looks at her, very surprised, like, is this for real? And she's like, I believe it is. And she then immediately goes like, well, we gotta do whatever it needs. Whatever we need. We give you all you need. Right. We learned a little bit what it is, but it's because it has to do something with Ellie. Then we see that Tess is getting info where Robert is for a couple of cards. Then some Firefly Randy comes over to Joel. and wants to recruit him. But Joel politely refuses. AKA, he tells him, if you finish that sentence, I'm going to break your jaw. And yeah, we we do learn that apparently Tommy joined the Fireflies and turned Tommy against Joel somehow. I don't remember why exactly that was, but yeah, that's why he doesn't like the Fireflies, basically. Righty. Anyway, we get another scene with Ellie. You can tell we're moving along a bit quicker now, because we need to get things moving, basically. All throughout, by the way, all of this, like, the acting is quite good. It's very, I find it pretty engaging. I think a lot of people find it a bit bloated and boring. I mean, that's up to you. I can't really do anything to change that. I think they do quite well. With the world building you get in those scenes and everything. I think it's quite well done. I like it a bunch. But yeah, if you find it boring, that's just how you feel, I guess. There's nothing I can do about that. Right. We get a scene with Ellie and the Boston Firefly leader, where she talks to her and gives her stuff back, and Ellie immediately gets out her knife and is like, okay, I got something to at least protect myself with, so what's going on? And yeah, how about you let me go, she says. And he's like, I can't do that, we're gonna get you somewhere else. Also, yeah, by the way, where the fuck you gonna go? Back to Fedra school? And it's like, but who the fuck who you think put you there? Was me, Ellie. And it's like, oh, you actually know my real name. Okay. And yeah, they put her in there to keep her safe, because the Fedra thing is the safest place to be, apparently. But it seems like she's now got a much higher calling than anyone could have imagined. And whatever I'm gonna tell you now, you cannot repeat to anyone else, or you're gonna be killed for sure. And we still don't hear what it is. But yeah, if you know, you know. Like, Ellie basically is immune to the fungus. She's patient zero, if you will. And they need to get her somewhere to figure out how to make a cure out of that. That's the whole dealio. We don't learn it till later, but that's just like the whole thing in the in the show, in the game. God damn it. But yeah, that's happening with there, and it's just again some nice acting Roonies. After Tess and Joel got the information where Robert is, they make their way to where they heard he is, basically, and they make their way through some tunnels, and they basically make their way to the Firefly HQ, I think, or I don't think it's their HQ, but it's wherever they have Ellie held up or locked up, and this is where Robert has been doing the shenanigans with them to give them the battery. Right, there we go. My thought finished right there. Anyway, they kind of check out the things, the rooms, and we see like a pretty cool little not a sequence, but a scene. There's like some infected guy or girl, I don't know, who just died down there, and I think it just looks pretty cool. I like the way they did this. This might be practical. I'm not sure. I would need to look that up, but it looks really good. Yeah, he basically just died there and just spread over the wall, but he's done so. He's not a threat, basically. But it looks quite good. It looks quite good. So yeah, there's basically just some bands in the scene. Can see that they trust each other. They've been having a relationship for quite a while, I would say, and they do that very well. There's some little bands, and yeah, they make their way in here. They have they know like a like some kind of secret entry, and she tries to prone it up, And it's like, man, I can't get this open. And Joe's like, do you smell that? It's like, oh yeah, gunpowder. And then you see some blood flowing in. And they go inside, and there's just dead bodies everywhere, including Robert. And also the battery is here, and the battery is cooked already. The battery is fucked up. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of dead people. They go around and see the Firefly leader lady and the assistant, or right-hand woman. Then Ellie is trying to attack Joel, as I just saw that over there on the screen. Just kind of immediately just crashes her into the wall. And also, just a nice little touch, steps on the knife. It's like, don't take the knife, what the fuck? And she's like, asshole. and the Firefly lady is like, okay, calm down. It's all cool. Also, yeah, she's called Marlene, by the way, the Firefly leader. I forgot to say that. She's been shot and kind of is bleeding out. The other lady's ear has been shot off. So yeah, they're not doing too well. They are not doing too well. And yeah, it's just a tense situation because they don't know what's up. They're just kind of trying to get their battery back that they bought, and yeah, they basically just have a talk, and she's like, hey, we were meant to have like a whole squadron to move out of here, but now I don't have a squadron, I don't have a car, I don't have anything, but I know what you and Tess are capable of, for better or worse. So how about you do this mission that we wanted to do, get her to this Firefly outpost or whatever it is, and I promise you, when you get her there, you'll get your car. And even more than that, you don't only get the battery, you get a car, you get supplies, you get food, everything you need. But I need you to do this. This is like super important, and don't cock this up. And then Tess and Joel just kind of have a talk about it, but they eventually agree. It's like, yeah, this seems to be our only option right now, our fastest option. Otherwise, we won't be able to go and find Tommy. But this seems to be our best idea, or best bet to get to a car. So they agree and take Ellie with them. They go home. Tess just goes to check out one of the paths, and Joel and Ellie are just kind of chilling out at home. And yeah, we're rapidly approaching the end. We see that, yeah, when they talk, Ellie's just kind of snooping around the room, finds a book with a note in it. And it's like, oh, this is like a smuggler's code, isn't it? Like, she seems to be knowledgeable about the world and what's been going on and how to deal with the world, even though she's like 13 or 14. She definitely didn't have like a normal childhood upbringing. She's kind of was forced to adapt, I guess, is the idea. And yeah, she's like, oh, this is a code. Like 60 song means nothing, no new stock. 70s means new stock, and 90s means something. But she doesn't know yet. And yeah, it's like, oh, what are we gonna do until we move? It's like, oh, you'll figure it out. And Joe just kind of has a nap. He kind of falls asleep, and Ellie starts asking questions like, hey, you go outside the wall much, huh? He's like, yeah, I guess so. I was like, oh, when was the last time you wasn't anywhere on the other side? He's like, and he says, oh, yeah, I don't know, like a year ago. And then he asks, like, what's your deal? Are you like some big wig's daughter or something? And she just says, like, yeah, something like that. Obviously, that's not true. At least I don't think so. And she also says, oh, yeah, while you were asleep, the radio came on. He's like, oh, what did it play? And he's like, I don't know, it was like a song about waking me up before you go. And he's like, oh, shit. And she's like, 80 song means trouble. I just broke the code. But anyway, Tess is coming back. And basically says, hey, grab your jackets. We're leaving right now. So they kind of sneak around. Also, I should probably mention, like, we get like the first scene where Joel and Ellie are alone in the apartment for a little bit, and yeah, Joel is definitely not as open and nice to Ellie as he is to Sarah in the beginning, to his daughter. Like, he seems to be very bitter. He just sees this as like, your cargo, and we're gonna get you out of here, and then I'll get my reward, and then you can fuck off. That's his mindset right now. Obviously, the idea of it in the show is that's gonna change. He's gonna come around and starting to appreciate her and take care of her and anything like that. You know, the classic scenario, I guess. I mean, it's not the first time this story has been told, but it's they do it very well here. It's very nicely set up. And yeah, as we talk about more episodes, it's gonna become pretty apparent that they took a lot of care with this, even though they changed a whole bunch of stuff from what I can tell from the game. But if you ask me, they did a very good job. So yeah, they just kind of sneak their way out. They make their way behind the wall, and Ellie's like, "Oh shit, this is the first time I'm out of here," and she almost gets caught. And then they get like really unlucky. I guess it's a bit contrived. But yeah, they make their way, and the one guard we saw earlier, he got pills for, is taking a leak exactly where they have to go through. And he's like, "Oh, you gotta stay over there." And it's like, oh, could you have just done like a random one? Like, did it have to be not only do we have this one random guy having to take a leak right there, and they didn't check that corner before, it's also the guy he could possibly talk himself out of because he smuggled stuff for him, get some pills and stuff. But yeah, he's just starting to check up on them, and he just does it by the book. He's like, "Well, you could get hanged for this, blah blah blah," and he's just kind of checking them with the device. And yeah, if you know, you know, because Ellie had been scratched, bitten, whatever, by a runner at some point, or some kind of fungus man, and when he goes to check Ellie, she has her knife in her hand, just stabs him in the leg, and he's like, "Oh shit, what did you do that for?" And he's about to shoot her, because he's very angry, of course, because he just got stabbed in the leg. And Joel's like, no, hang on, we can fix this. He's like, no, don't do this. And then Joel has a flashback to back 20 years ago when his daughter got shot by this random guard guy, and all this frustration just bubbled out of him, and he tackles over the guard guy and just beats the living toss out of him. He beats, I don't know if he beat him to death, but he definitely knocked him out good. Like, he beats into his face quite heavily. It's quite gruesome. Like, he just goes like, duh. I mean, he's not a happy camper. I mean, look at his face. He's a little bit angry. It's a bit aggravated, if you will. He's a little bit aggravated. But yeah, obviously the idea being he was heavily reminded of the scenario when his daughter got shot by this guard guy for no reason, for him at least, in his mind, and he just fucking, yeah, he lost it. And yeah, then they just need to run away, but the machine did the test. And it's red. And Tess instantly goes like, Joel, oh shit, you're infected. I should kill you right now. But then Ellie instantly shows her arm. It's like, no, I'm fine. Look at this. This is 3 weeks old. I'm not infected. I'm fine. Like, people normally only have like a day to live, but this is like 3 weeks old. I'm good. And it's obvious like, this is weird. This shouldn't be happening. And yeah, for now they basically decide, okay, whatever, we need to run away one way or another because Fedra agents are gonna come over here. So they start running away. Joel, smart, very smart man, grabs the rifle. It's like, we're probably gonna need this. It has a light on it. It has ammo. I'm gonna take this with me because it's gonna be really useful. Smart man, very smart man. I like my characters being smart. He doesn't just leave the gun there. He immediately is like, I need that. Like, a rifle is very useful in what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna take it with me. Good stuff, good stuff. I really enjoy when they show me that those characters are the big smart. And yeah, they make their way outside. And this is how the episode actually, no, the episode ends with the radio turning on and playing Depeche Mode. I wish I could remember what the song is called. It's an 80s song, which is like, there's trouble, and we learn soon enough what the trouble is. But yeah, this is how this episode ends, and it is quiet, good. It's not the best episode of the show so far. This would probably go to episode 4 or 5 as of recording this. But yeah, I can already, you can tell by the first episode, okay, there's some thought here. Obviously, first episodes don't really mean a lot, but as I said in the beginning of this recording, the reason I'm actually talking about this now is because I watched the other episodes, and it's quite excellent. It gets really, really good, and 5 is probably the best episode so far. The 5th episode is quite something. It goes quite hard, and gives you the big feels, but don't want to spoil it quite yet, because I'm gonna try to make my way there to the end of the week of this recording, at least. I don't know when it actually goes out, because I need to upload all this stuff. You know how it is, YouTube stuff. Anyway, no, it's quite good. I enjoy it. We do a really good job with the introduction. I already went over it. We established Joel's character there, established a relationship between the daughter, and make the death of the daughter feel heavy, feel important to the story. Because it's often enough that it happens. We just get like a cold opening. You just see, I don't know, 2 minutes of like the family being on a vacation, and then all of a sudden, terrorists, oh no, they shot my wife, and now I'm very sad. No, we actually take the time to establish their character in about 20-25 minutes, and then the last 5 minutes we just all make it come crushing down. It's very well made. And then I think the world building is quite good in the second half here. We get to know how fucked this whole scenario is. It's been 20 years and things didn't really get better. We're like bound to this contamination zone, which is led by Fedra, who seem to go pretty hard fascist-like, with public hangings and just burning corpses and having to euthanize people instantly. It's quite grim. I think there's probably arguments to be had. How morally wrong Fedra really is. I would need more context though, because you see, on one hand, you see you see them euthanize this child, and you immediately like, oh, that's fucking cruel, holy shit. But then you see the grim reality of, yeah, we have this containment zone, and if we have someone in there who's infected, who can just go haywire in there, and we can't really do anything against it. I think that's the only thing you can really do to keep the containment zone fine, or contained, really. Yeah, it's I wonder if the show, actually, we don't have Fedra around anymore because we move away from Fedra. I wonder if we get some more Fedra people later, because in the other episodes we explore some other factions, if you will. But I think it would be really interesting to explore Fedra more and how they got to this insano mode. Because I don't think public hangings are necessary. I think that's quite the quite the extreme to go, even in that kind of scenario. I don't know if you would need to go that far. But I guess the idea is they seem to go too far, and that's why the Fireflies were born. And they just want to go back and get some kind of democracy back. But yeah, I think there's like interesting things to think about, like morally, behind this whole adventure we do with Joel and Ellie. I think the world is quite rich, and you can do a lot with it if you really put some effort in it. Of course, our main focus for the most part is Joel, Ellie, and at the moment Tess, and how they make their way to Wyoming. I would need to talk to some people who played the game, because I actually don't know how much it deviates from the actual story in the game. We get an episode with Bill and no, the other guy's name left me. It's the with the gay couple, and we get basically a whole episode about them, how they were going through this whole scenario, which is a quite good episode as well. But that's like a thing that's completely changed. Like I think you actually meet them in the game, and there's like different scenes and interactions you don't get here apparently. But yeah, nonetheless, I've been quite enjoying this. I'm gonna be talking about all the other thingies, all the other episodes. And yeah, I'm just gonna put this into my rotation now. I'm gonna be finishing this coverage of The Last of Us Season 1. And yeah, I guess the most interesting part, I'm pretty confident to say that the rest of the season is going to be really good as well. But I think the big question is going to be, what are they going to do when we get to Season 2? Or how we cliffhanger into Season 2? Because as you know, Last of Us 2, quite controversial with how they handle Joel. And this little golf game, if you will. Yeah. Gonna be interesting to see how that turns out. But yeah, there we go. There's my impromptu coverage of The Last of Us, which I really like, as I said like multiple times already. But yeah, again, let me know, guys, if you have any ideas for a name, for something, for another format, for these solo recordings, where I just kind of shoot the shit about things I've watched that don't really fit into a normal Forge, or I just want to do impromptu where I don't have a guest. Again, I quite like the idea for Metal Smelter or something along those lines. I think that could be pretty cool. And then I'll probably make that a format in the future. But yeah, let me know. Easy for me to say. Let me know what you guys' idea is, and I kind of just gonna put them in a little list and see what I can come up with, and then just gonna expand the metal universe, if you will, the metal universe. I don't like it. Anyway, that's gonna do it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed my little solo ramble about the Last of Us Season 1, Episode 1. As of now, I give a big old recommendation for that show. Go give it a watchings. I like it quite a bit. And yeah, thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye.